Welcome to the architecture of success. Most people believe their thoughts are their own. They believe their choices are original. They are wrong. You are about to witness the invisible architecture that has been built around your mind, not to protect you, but to direct you. We begin with the glitches in the matrix. The moments you felt something was wrong but couldn't name it. If your life feels predictable, pause for a second. That is not your personality, that is programming. Most people think control looks like force. It doesn't. Real control is subtle. It trains your habits, shapes your fears, and decides what feels normal to you. You didn't choose most of what you believe. You absorbed it from school systems that rewarded obedience, from culture that punished standing out, from algorithms that learned your attention before you understood your own mind. And here is the uncomfortable part. At some point, control didn't come from outside anymore. It moved inside you. Self doubt, overthinking, the need for approval. That is not a flaw. That system running exactly as designed for you. Most people will feel this and scroll because recognizing the pattern is scary. It means your life isn't random, but it is changeable. If you are in the US or another country and you feel this hitting a nerve, don't just watch and scroll. Hit subscribe so you don't keep living out the same script they wrote for you. Because the next part shows the exact moment this became your identity and how to take it back. If you are in the US and serious about rewiring your psychology, watch the entire videos in the series. Don't break the pattern halfway. Thank you.
What if I told you that right now, someone is using this psychological trick to manipulate you, and you don't even know it?
Most people don't understand how the human brain really works. There's a psychological phenomenon called emotional anchoring that high performers use to influence anyone without them realizing it. This isn't about manipulation for evil. It's about understanding the hidden forces that shape your decisions every single day. Here's how it works. When someone associates a feeling or memory with a specific trigger, a word, a gesture, even a silence, they can recreate that feeling instantly. Think about it. Why do certain songs make you emotional? Why do certain people's voices calm you down? That's emotional anchoring. The second trick? Silence as a weapon. When someone doesn't respond to you, what happens? You spiral. You overthink. You become vulnerable. Manipulators know this. They use silence not to be rude, but to gain control of the conversation. They make you wait. They make you doubt yourself. But here's the game changer. Once you know these tricks, you become immune to them. You start seeing through social manipulation. You recognize when someone is using body language mirroring to build false rapport. You catch when someone takes your words out of context to make their point. The real secret? High performers don't wait for motivation. They hack their own psychology until winning becomes automatic. They understand that influence flows in both directions. When you master these psychological principles, you don't just protect yourself, you become unstoppable. This knowledge is power. But power demands responsibility. Use it ethically.
Yes, those were the symptoms. Now, let's look at the disease. You might think mind control requires sophisticated technology or trauma. It doesn't. It often relies on a simple silent mechanism you are using right now or having used on you. We need to define the anchor and the mirror. If you don't spot this technique, you are already complying with it. Pause. Before this video goes any further, ask yourself one unsettling question. How many of my actions today were actually mine? And how many were installed in me? Because in part 1, you discovered emotional anchoring, silence as a weapon, and mirroring. But what if those weren't just random tricks? What if they are part of a system that governments, marketers, leaders, even people close to you use every single day to shape what you feel, what you buy, and who you trust without ever raising their voice? This is They Are Controlling You Part 2. And after this, you will never walk into a room, open your phone, or sit in silence with someone in the same way again. Let us start with section 1, the hidden mechanism, how your brain gets wired to triggers. Let us decode what is actually happening under your skin. Psychologists and therapists like us describe emotional anchoring like this. You associate a specific trigger, a word, a touch, a tone, a sound with a particular emotional state. Over time, your brain links them so tightly that the trigger can recreate the feeling on command. In therapy and coaching, this is used ethically to anchor calm to a gesture or breath, to anchor confidence to a posture, to help people manage anxiety or stress on demand. Under the hood, this draws on classical conditioning, like Pavlov pairing a bell with food. You remember that? Your brain pairs cues with feelings over time. Next, cognitive anchoring. The first reference point influences how you judge everything after. Now imagine this in daily life. A brand jingle that instantly makes you nostalgic or hungry. A notification sound that spikes your anxiety. A certain word from a partner that makes you shut down. A tone from your boss that makes you feel small before they even speak. Those are not random. They are anchors. And once those anchors exist, someone who understands them can press those buttons whenever they want. Now, section 2, silence. The most dangerous sentence is the one nobody says. In part 1, you heard this. When someone doesn't respond, you spiral, you overthink, you become vulnerable. Now, let us deepen that. A recent review on silence in social interaction says silence is not the absence of communication. It is a strategic act, a way to negotiate power, create tension, and control the flow of a conversation. Leaders and authority figures use silence to make their words seem more powerful than their presence more intimidating or credible. What does that look like in your life? You send a long text, no reply. Your brain rushes to fill the gap. They are angry, I messed up, I am not important. In a meeting, you speak, someone responds with a long pause and a stare. You start backtracking, apologizing, shrinking. The research shows well-timed pauses and deliberate silence can amplify the impact of later words, create suspense, and unsettle the other person. Silence can signal power, resistance, or withdrawal, and it forces the other person to work harder to restore connection. Manipulators love this. They leave you on read on purpose. They pause just long enough after you speak to make you doubt what you said. They withhold responses so that you chase, explain, and over-deliver. The trick is simple. They don't win by talking more. They win by making your mind talk against you. Understand? Now section 3, mirroring. When I like them isn't your thought. Then comes the most subtle weapon, mirroring. Body language research has shown for decades. When someone subtly mirrors your posture, gestures, and expressions, you tend to feel more at ease with them, like them more, and trust them more, even if you don't know why. Experiments by Sartrand and Bach found that people who were mirrored reported feeling more connected to their conversation partners. Later work showed mirroring can increase trust, likability, and cooperation all. That means the salesperson who leans in when you lean in, the stranger who crosses their legs after you do, the date who matches your tone and speech rhythm may not be just vibing with you. They may be using a very old, very studied phenomenon. If I look like you, your brain tags me as safe and similar. Ethical communicators use this to build rapport and understanding. Unethical ones use it to gain your trust faster than they deserve. Slide ideas past your guard. Make you feel rude if you say no. Suddenly, I just feel like I can trust them. It's not an intuition. It's a response engineered by your nervous system. Now section 4. How to become immune without becoming paranoid. So, how do you protect yourself without turning into a paranoid robot who trusts nobody? The answer is not to shut down emotionally. The answer is to stay conscious. Here is a 3-step mental framework I am giving to you. 1. Name the mood. Next time you notice a song, smell, or phrase instantly shifting your mood, someone's long pause making you desperate to fill the silence. A person mirroring your gestures or tone, silently labeled. That's an anchor. That silence has control. That's mirroring. You learned all these things here. Why? Because the moment you name a pattern, your brain moves it from unconscious to conscious processing. Now you have a choice. 2. Ask. The 3 magical letters ASK. Ask. Who benefits if I obey this feeling? This is a question high awareness people ask in real time. When you feel sudden urgency to buy after a nostalgic ad, who benefits if I obey this feeling right now? When silence makes you over-explain, who benefits if I panic and start proving myself? When mirroring makes you feel like they just get me, have they actually earned this level of trust here? You are not denying your feelings. You are investigating your feelings. You are investigating them. 3. Reset your own anchor. This is where you flip the script. Therapeutic and coaching work on emotional anchoring shows that you can intentionally create anchors for calm, confidence, and clarity. Here is a simple protocol you can start using. Remember a moment you felt powerful, clear, or deeply calm. Close your eyes. Replay that memory. Intensify every sensory detail. While you are in that state, press 2 fingers together or touch your wrist or take a specific breath. Repeat this several times over multiple days. You are teaching your nervous system. When I do this, I come back to my power. Now when you feel pulled by someone else's anchor, silence or mirroring, pause. Trigger your own anchor. Respond from your state, not the one they are steering you into. Now section 5. Turn their tricks into your superpower. Here is a twist nobody expects. The same psychology that makes you easy to manipulate can make you impossible to manipulate when you use it on yourself first. Emotional anchoring. You anchor focus, calm, and courage to your own rituals and environments. Silence. You stop seeing silence as rejection and start using it as a tool. Tool to think before reacting, tool to hold your boundary, a tool to let other people reveal themselves. Sorry. Communication experts say silence, used well, enhances presence, deepens listening, and gives your words more impact. Mirroring. You consciously mirror people to create a real rapport and safety. Not to trick them, but to help them feel seen and understood. This is the difference between being controlled by social psychology and commanding it in your own life. High performers and ethical leaders do not ignore these tools. They study them. They use them on themselves first. They wield them with a responsibility. Now the final close. So now ask yourself, when you scroll through your feed, sit in a meeting, argue with a partner, or listen to a leader, are you just reacting? Or are you watching the game being played? Because here is an uncomfortable truth I am going to tell you. Someone will anchor your emotions. Someone will use silence to shake the frame. Someone will mirror you to gain your trust. Your trust. The only question is, will it be random strangers, marketers, manipulators? That's the only question. Or will it be you consciously directing your own state, your own boundaries, your own reality? If you felt even one moment in this video where you thought, wait, that has happened to me, then this is your next move. 1. Drop a I see the game now in the comments so you never again forget this shift. 2. Save this video and rewatch it the next time. If someone's silence makes you spiral, or an ad makes you feel urgent, or a perfect stranger feels instantly like your best friend, and if you are ready for the next level, where you learn exactly how emotional anchors are built, how silence shapes power in relationships, and the 7 body language patterns that tell you who is real and who is fake. Hit subscribe right now and turn on all notifications, because the series doesn't stop here. The next video is the playbook of puppet masters, a breakdown of real world scripts used by cult leaders, toxic partners, and elite marketers, so that you can finally say, I am not just protected from psychological control, I understand it, and I choose from this moment to be the one holding the remote to my own mind. Holding the remote to your own mind. Once they have anchored your emotions, the next target is your identity. This is where control becomes installation. They stop telling you what to do and start telling you who you are. This is not just influence. This is identity gaslighting. Watch closely how the boundaries of yourself are breached. Listen, if you really want to know who is controlling you, don't look at the people in your life. Don't look at the government. Don't even look at your boss. Look at the voice in your head that speaks with their words, even when they are not in the room. Because in the earlier parts, you saw the obvious tricks, mirroring, emotional anchoring, silence as a weapon, etc. In the earlier parts, you learned the invisible layer, how they install triggers in your nervous system so you obey without realizing it. This part is different. This is where you discover the most dangerous level of control. Not when they control your emotions, not when they control your decisions, but when they control the story you tell yourself about who you are. Stay till the end, because once you see this, you will never apologize for your own mind again. Here is the script you didn't write, but it is inside you. Let us start with something uncomfortable. Think about this sentence in your head that begins with, I am the kind of person who. Be honest. I am the kind of person who always gets ignored. I am the kind of person who gets attached too fast. I am the kind of person who is bad with money. I am the kind of person who attracts toxic people. You write down whatever you feel in your head. You think you described yourself now. But what if that sentence was given to you? Here is the psychology. Humans don't act from reality. They act from identity. Identity. You don't ask, what is the truth? You ask, what would someone like me do? So if someone wants to control you, they don't have to fight your logic. They just have to silently rewrite who someone like you is. Tell a smart kid, you are irresponsible. Tell a kind person, you are too much. Tell an ambitious person, you are selfish. Repeat it enough times and one day they start introducing themselves to the world using the words of their abuser. Now identify gaslighting, the deepest level of control. There is a word for this. Identify gaslighting. Regular gaslighting makes you doubt what you saw. Cynical. Identity gaslighting makes you doubt who you are. Example. I'm giving you an example. You confront someone for crossing your boundaries. They say, you are overreacting. You are so dramatic. You love being the victim, don't you? You came with the facts. They respond by attacking your character. Because if they can make you believe that your personality is a problem, you will silence yourself for them. Over and over and over. You will get silenced yourself. This is control at its finest. Not by chains, not by threats, but by convincing you that your natural reactions are proof that you are broken. Once that belief is installed, they don't need to control you anymore. You control yourself in the exact direction that benefits them. How they install a fake you that is inside you. Here is how this works step by step. 1. First, they observe your real strengths. You are sensitive. You are loyal. You are intense. Second, they rename your strengths as weaknesses whenever those strengths don't serve them. Sensitive becomes too emotional. Your loyalty becomes clingy. Your intense becomes crazy. Then third, they reward the version of you that is easy to control and punish the version of you that has boundaries. When you sacrifice your needs, you are amazing. When you say no, whoa, you have really changed. You start to split into the real you who feels angry, tired, disrespected. The controlled you who wants to be good and easy. Fifth, slowly you betray the real you just to protect the controlled you. This is a hidden negotiation happening inside your mind every time you say, it's okay, it's not a big deal. When your entire body is screaming that it is a big deal. You are not overreaching, you are overriding your own reality to protect someone else's comfort. That is not kindness. That is control. Yes, control. The 3 red flags of identity control I am giving here. If you want to know whether someone is trying to control who you believe you are, watch for these 3 red flags. Here the first red flag. They define your motives for you. You say, I need some space. They say, you are trying to punish me. You say, this hurt me. They say, you just want attention. They are not asking why you did something. They are telling you who you are for doing it. Next is red flag 2. That is second red flag. Your boundaries become their diagnosis. You say, no, suddenly you are cold, distant, selfish. You try to talk about your feelings, suddenly you are ungrateful, too sensitive, never satisfied. They want you to associate your healthiest choices with the ugliest labels. Because if you start to believe that setting boundaries makes you a bad person, you will stop setting them. Now the third red flag. You feel the need to present a version of yourself. Around them, you can't talk the way you talk with your real friends. You carefully edit your reactions. You rehearse conversations in your head. You don't feel like a person. You feel like a performance. That feeling is not random. It is evidence that your identity is being managed from the outside. How they weaponize your need to be good? Here is the cruelest part. They don't control you with fear alone. They control you with your own desire to be a good person. Watch, you don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to be selfish. You don't want to be like the people who destroyed you. So all they have to do is tell you that protecting yourself makes you one of those bad people. Now, every time you try to take your power back, you feel guilty. So what do? Tell me. You think of. You walk back into the cage and lock the door from inside. Perfect control. They don't even have to touch you. All they have to do is control the type of person you are terrified of becoming. They learned psychology. This is why so many kind of people feel stuck. You are not weak. You are not stupid. You are just being manipulated through your own kindness. Just remember that. The moment control breaks, naming the story. So how do you break this? This is our vital question. You may be asking in your mind, how do I break this? You cannot break control by arguing with them. Sure. You break it by arguing with the story they built inside your mind. Right now, think of the most painful label someone has put on you. What are they? You remember? Can you set it? Write it down. Your own. Maybe too much, too needy, too cold, too soft, too selfish. Now ask a brutally honest question. Who benefits when I believe this about myself? Who becomes more powerful if I walk around thinking I am too much? Who becomes safer if I convince myself that my standards are unrealistic? The moment you connect the label to the person who benefits from it, the spell starts to crack. Because you finally see it not as a fact about you, but as a strategy used on you. Now, reclaiming your identity, the reversal script, how to reclaim your identity. I am giving you the tick. Here is a simple but a devastating exercise to begin taking your identity back. This you have to do very seriously. Grab a piece of paper. Write this sentence at the top. They told me I am, fill it up, fill the blanks, so that I would, of course, fill the blanks. That's your own word, in your own words, in your own mind, from your own head. All you fill it in. They told me I am hard to love, so that I would be grateful for the bare minimum. They told me I am bad with money, so that I would stop questioning how they use it. They told me I am overreacting, so that I would stop calling out their behavior. See what just happened? You moved the focus from what is wrong with you to what they gain from that narrative. That is the beginning of your psychological freedom. Remember, now it is the beginning of your psychological freedom. Because once you see the motive of others, the label loses its power. The label they put on you loses its power. Means you are getting slowly regaining control. It stops being your identity. It becomes what it always was, the real you. The real you wanted to be. Understand? It becomes what always was. A tool. Now installing a new self-story that is inside you. A self-story. Installing a self-story inside you. Understand? Awareness is not enough. You also need an upgrade. You are given a script. I have given you the script. Now you write a new one. Take every label that hurt you and ask 2 questions. The first question, 1. What is the strength hiding inside this? Second question, that is 2. How would a healthier person rename it? Maybe too sensitive becomes deeply perceptive. Too clingy becomes deeply loyal. Too cold becomes emotionally self-protective. Too selfish becomes finally prioritizing my mental health. You are not lying to yourself. Here, you are recontextualizing the same trait that made you easy to control in a toxic environment is also the trait that will make you powerful in a healthy one. They weren't afraid of your weakness. They weren't afraid of your weakness. They were afraid of your full version, the full you. They are afraid of the full you. Now the new boundary. You don't get name me. That is a new boundary. From now on, you need a line in your life that is non-negotiable. You do not get to name me. You can give feedback on my behavior. We can have conversations about what I did, but you don't get to define who I am in order to keep me small. The moment a conversation turns into you are just this kind of person, remind yourself, they are not describing you. They are describing the version of you that makes them feel safe. The version of you that makes them feel safe, comfortable, and in control of you. Remember that. And you are not obligated to keep playing that role. You are not obligated to keep playing that role. Just remember that. Not for family, not for friends, not for partners, not even for partners, of course. Not for anyone. Now, the call to power. That is call to your power. If this video hit a nerve, that is not an accident. It means there is a part of you that is done being controlled. There is a part of you that is done being controlled by stories you did not write. So here is your challenge. In the next 24 hours, catch one sentence in your head that begins with, I am just the kind of person who You fill it up there. Pause. Then ask. Because I am just the kind of person who, then you just pause a minute. Think in your mind, think in your head. Ask, who gave me this line? And then out loud, if you can, rewrite it. Because the real battle is not happening in your relationships. It is happening in your internal narration. If you are ready to take your identity back, don't just scroll away. Hit subscribe right here, right now. And this isn't just another video you forget in 10 minutes. Comment below. I choose my story, so this becomes your commitment. And if you want to go even deeper, the next episode in this series is, you check it, just subscribe, you'll get that, where you will see the exact phrases cult leaders, toxic partners, and high-level marketers used to bypass your critical thinking and walk straight into your subconscious mind. You have seen how they try to name you. It will be very interesting for you. You just see this video once again and use the technique. You will be very interesting and you will be astonished that you were controlled by others in such a way that you felt very bad or you felt very good. Okay, then you find it out from your experience after playing the techniques I have explained in this. Next, you will learn how they program you. Turn on all notifications, because from this moment, you are no longer just surviving their control. You are studying it. You are decoding it. And piece by piece, you are taking your mind back. After decoding, piece by piece, you are taking your mind back to yourself. The new you, the real you, may be the real you. You didn't write the script you are living. You were trained, nudged, shaped. We are now entering the installation phase. If your brain is a computer, someone else has access to the root directory. We needed to analyze the programming loop, trigger, script, reward. This is how the software was loaded. Pause this for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Because what you are about to hear isn't just information. It's a mirror. Earlier parts expose the tricks to you. This part shows how those tricks became your daily operating system, your software, and how to uninstall them. Today, you are not just going to learn how they control people. You are going to watch almost in real time how their words became your personality, how their opinions became your inner voice, and how their agenda became your default decisions. If you feel like you keep repeating the same toxic relationships, the same money mistakes, the same self-sabotage, no matter how much you try to change, it is not because you are broken. It is because someone, somewhere, installed a mental program, a mental software that is still running in the background, in the hardware of your body, controlling your reactions before you even have a chance to choose. Stay with this till the end, because this part is not entertainment. It is an update. And once it is installed, you will never see your own mind the same way again. Here is segment 1, the operating system in your head. Think of your brain like a phone. There is the hardware, your actual intelligence, your memory, your emotions. And then there is the software, the beliefs, habits, and automatic reactions running 24/7 without your permission. Most people try to change their life by changing the apps. One habit here, one routine there. But the people who control you don't waste time on apps. They go straight for the operating system. Make you believe you are too much. Your OS blocks confidence. Make you believe you are hard to love. Your OS rejects healthy love. Make you believe you are bad with money. Your OS quietly sabotages every financial decision. You wake up thinking, this is just who I am. But the truth is darker. This is who you were trained to be. Now segment 2. The 3-step programming loop. Every high-level manipulator, from toxic partners to aggressive marketers, relies on a simple 3-step loop. The first step, that is step number 1. Trigger your deepest fear. They don't start with logic. They start with pain. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being rejected. Fear of being seen as a failure. A word. A look. A silent treatment. Suddenly your nervous system is on fire. Now the second step, that is step number 2. Offer a script that explains that fear. You are scared because you are too clingy. You are upset because you are dramatic. You feel guilty because you are selfish. Notice what happened. They didn't comfort you. They named you. And when someone names you in your most vulnerable moment, your brain will cling to that label like a life raft. Now third step, that is step number 3. Reward obedience, punish resistance. When you act according to the role they gave you, they show approval. When you break character, they withdraw love, attention, or opportunity. Congratulations, the script is now installed. The next time you get triggered, you won't even need them. Your own mind will repeat their words for them. Now the third segment, segment 3. Why smart people still get controlled. People are smart, but still they are getting controlled. You can cite some examples from your life. You might be thinking, but I am not dumb. I know when someone is manipulating me. That is exactly why this works. Manipulation today rarely looks like obvious abuse. It looks like, I'm just being honest with you. I'm telling you this for your own good. Everyone else is thinking it. I'm just the one saying it to you. You are not being controlled at the level of information. You are being controlled at the level of identity. I told you in the first part. And identity beats intelligence every single time. Because no matter how smart you are, you still don't want to be the bad person or the selfish one or the crazy one. So you bend your truth to protect your image. They know this and they weaponize it. Now segment 4, that is fourth segment, is spotting the injector voice. Here's a quick test. Think of a moment you did something for yourself and immediately felt guilty. You said no to a message. You didn't pick up a late night call. You spent money on your own growth. Now listen carefully. What exact sentence appeared in your head after that decision? You are so selfish. You are going to lose them. You don't deserve this. Whose voice is that? Your brain will say, it's mine. But if you slow it down, you will realize those are not original thoughts. They are recordings, fragments of conversations, arguments, sarcastic comments, childhood moments that branded you with shame. That is the injector voice. And until you separate it from your real self, you will mistake control for conscience. Now the fifth segment, that is segment number 5, the uninstall ritual. High retention exercise. This is a high retention exercise. Be very attentive. For the next 2 minutes, do this with me. It will feel strange, but good. That means your old program is being challenged. First step, that is step number 1, is write down one repeating thought about yourself. I shall give you some examples. I am always too much. I ruin everything. I can't trust anyone. Have you written? Don't miss it. You write it down in a paper. If possible, you say why dark black ink on a white paper. Step 2. Write and write word for word. Where did I learn this? Then answer brutally, honestly. A parent, an ex, a teacher, a friend who laughed when you were vulnerable. Third step, that is step number 3, is now write this sentence. They needed me to believe this so that I would, you may fill with your own experience and your own mind. Fill in the blank, like, so that I would stay small, so that I would never leave, so that I would never question them. Now, look at those words. You have just turned a life sentence identity into what it really was. A control strategy. Pause this if you need to. Rewind. Do it properly. Because people who actually do this feel something shift instantly. I have a lot of clients with that experience. That thought doesn't feel like me anymore. It feels like an old script. Now the 6th segment, that is segment number 6, is installing a new identity script. Uninstalling is not enough. A blank screen is still vulnerable. You must install something new. Here is how, I will tell you. Take that old thought and flip it with a ruthless honesty. Not fake positivity, ruthless honesty. Am too much becomes am intense, and my intensity deserves people who can handle depth. I ruin everything becomes I have made mistakes and I am now the kind of person who learns, repairs and grows. I can't trust anyone becomes I can trust slowly with the people who consistently show safety and respect. Now, read that new sentence out loud. Yes, out loud, loud out. Because the people who control you didn't just think their words. They spoke them into you. Now you are speaking a counterspell. It will feel fake at first. That's normal. Your brain is addicted to the familiar pain. But repetition writes reality. Not overnight, but over time. Now, 7th segment, that is segment number 7, the algorithm of your mind. Think of YouTube's algorithm. For instance, let us take it, what is you are seeing in front. It doesn't promote what is true. It promotes what keeps you watching. Your brain does the same. If for years you have been feeding it thoughts like, I'm not enough, I scare people away, I don't deserve more, your inner algorithm will promote every experience that matches that story. You will notice the 1% who ignores your message instead of the 10 people who care. You will chase the partner who withholds love instead of the friend who shows up consistently. Not because you like suffering, but because your inner algorithm says. What your inner algorithm say? This feels familiar. This must be who we are. Part 3 of your life starts when you consciously break this. When you stop asking, is this familiar? And start asking, is this healthy? Stop asking, is this familiar? And start asking, is this healthy? A change. Now I am giving the final segment. You reach this part of the video, something important is already true about you. You are no longer interested in just knowing facts about psychology. You want to understand the psychology of your life. So here is your turning point. Take a screenshot of one sentence from this video that hit you the hardest. Best post it in the comments with one line. This is a program I am uninstalling in 2026. That is your public declaration. That is you refusing to be quietly controlled anymore. And if you are serious about rewiring your mind, hit subscribe right now. Don't wait. Turn on all notifications. And do not miss the next part in this series. Because in the next episode, we are not just talking about thoughts. We are breaking down the exact phrases, tones, and conversation patterns that narcissists, cult leaders, and manipulative marketers use to bypass your logic and walk straight into your subconscious. Walk straight into your subconscious mind. You have seen the operating system. Next, you will see the code. Until then, remember this. You were never too much. You were just surrounded by people who were too small for the real version of you. Surrounded by people who were too small for the real version of you. Just remember that. And that version is the only one you are allowed to be from now onwards. Understand? The only one you are allowed to be from now on. Now you understand the OS, the operating system. But who is the coder? And what code are they writing? There is a specific playbook used by toxic parents, corrupt leaders, and manipulative partners. I call them the puppet masters. These are the 5 specific scripts they run to keep the installation permanent in you. Before this video goes 1 second further, remember the last argument that left you confused. You walked away thinking, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I really am too sensitive. Maybe I did overreact. What if that wasn't an argument, but a script? Earlier parts exposed the manipulation and identity programming. This part of video reveals the exact phrases and conversation patterns manipulators use in real time, so viewers can spot and shut them down instantly. In this part, you are going to hear the exact sentences narcissists, toxic partners, and even manipulative marketers use to push your buttons, erase your reality, and make you obey while thinking it was your idea. If you have ever replayed a conversation in your head for hours, wondering how they turned everything around on you, stay till the end of this video. Because once you recognize these lines, you will never hear them the same way again. Now the segment 1. That is first segment, why words are their favorite weapon. Manipulators love one thing more than power: plausible deniability. They don't want obvious control. They want you to look in the mirror and say, it's my fault. That's why they use words, not chains. Words can rewrite history, shift blame, trigger your deepest insecurity, make you doubt what you know you felt. And the most dangerous part, most of the phrases they use sound normal. They sound like, I'm just being honest, you took it the wrong way, I didn't mean it like that. But hidden inside those words are psychological landmines designed to keep you under control. Now the second segment, script 1, the reality eraser. The first pattern is something every gaslighter uses, the reality eraser. You say, that hurt me. They answer with, that never happened. You are imagining things. You are twisting my words. You always remember things wrong. Their goal is simple. If they can make you doubt your own memory, they never have to take responsibility. Over time, you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't bring this up. Maybe I really am overthinking. And that is a win for them. Because a person who doubts their own mind is the easiest person in the world to control. Now the third segment, script number 2, the character assassination. Next comes the character assassination. You bring them a specific situation. They respond by attacking your identity. You say, when you cancelled last minute, I felt disrespected. They say, you are so needy. You are never satisfied. You always have something to complain about. Notice what happened. You talked about behavior. They redirected to your character. Why? Because if they make you believe that who you are is the real problem, you stop criticizing what they do. You start fixing yourself instead. You read more books. You go to therapy. You apologize. Meanwhile, they keep their behavior exactly the same. Perfect control. Zero effort. Now the fourth segment, script 3, the isolation spell. The third pattern is one of the darkest, the isolation spell. Anytime you bring an issue, they widen the attack. Everyone thinks you are like this. They are just too polite to say it. No wonder your ex left you. Even your family says you are hard to deal with. In one sentence, they do 3 things. 1, make you feel outnumbered. 2, make you doubt your own perception. 3, make them look like the only person honest enough to tell you the truth. And when one person positions themselves as your only truth teller, your only honest voice, they have you. Because now your self-worth depends on their approval. Now the fifth segment, that is script number 4, the guilt switch. The fourth script is the guilt switch. You try to talk about your pain. They flip it. You say, I felt abandoned when you disappeared. They reply, whoa, after everything I do for you, I guess nothing I do is ever enough. You are so ungrateful. Suddenly you are not the one who is hurt. You are the villain. Your brain goes into overdrive. I didn't mean to be ungrateful. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. So instead of them fixing their behavior, you rush to fix yourself for daring to be honest. That is the guilt switch. And it is one of the fastest ways to train a person to stay silent forever. Now come to the sixth segment. Script number 5. the future hook. There is another one you might not recognize yet. The future hook. This is where they calm your doubts with the promises of a better future that never arrives. You say, things have to change. They say, once this busy period is over, I will focus on us. I will focus on us. Next month, I will fix it. I promise. Just be patient with me a little longer. Your brain hears hope. Your body stays in pain. You keep waiting for a version of them that shows up only in words, never in actions. And every time you think of leaving, you remember the promises and you feel guilty for giving up too soon. That is not hope. That is a leash made of future tense sentences. Next is segment 7. How puppet masters stack these scripts. Here is where it gets truly sinister. They don't use these lines alone. They stack them. You bring a concern. First, they erase your reality. That never happened. Then they attack your character. You are so dramatic. Then they isolate you. Everyone else handles this fine, except you. Finally, they hook you with the future. I will change, just give me time. By the end of the conversation, your memory is blurred. Your identity feels attacked. You feel alone in your perspective. And you are clinging to a promise instead of facing the pattern. That is not a miscommunication. That is a playbook. So, how do you break out without screaming, explaining, or begging? You use questions that their script was never designed to handle. Question 1. What exactly did I say or do that you are reacting to right now? This pulls the conversation back to specifics instead of your entire character. Next question. Can you repeat back what you heard me say in your own words? This forces them to show whether they are actually listening or just attacking. Next question. What would change in your behavior after this conversation? If they can't answer, you know it is not a discussion. It is damage control. You don't have to argue. You don't have to convince. You just have to see clearly. Because the moment you see the script, you stop being inside it and start watching it from the outside. That shift from actor to observer is where your power begins. Next, the record and review method. Here is a practical tool for when your head is spinning after a conversation. No, you don't need them in the room. You just need your memory and your notes app. Notes app is in your phone. Right after a confusing argument, write down the exact sentences that stuck with you. How you felt before the conversation. How you felt after the conversation. Then look for these signs. Did you start confident and ashamed? Did you come with facts and leave with labels like dramatic, selfish, crazy? Did the conversation end with a vague promise instead of a concrete change? If yes, you weren't too emotional. You walked into a script designed to drain your reality and feed their control. If you recognized even one of these lines from your life, write this in the comments right below. Now, I see the script now. Because the moment you can name it, you realize it, you write it. You can no longer pretend it is normal. If you are serious about it, you are never being emotionally played again, hit subscribe here because you can learn more in the coming videos. Turn on all notifications and stay with this series. This channel isn't here just to entertain you with the dark psychology. It's here to give you language, awareness, and real world tools that the average person never learns. In the next part, we are going even deeper into the self manipulation you do to yourself after years of this programming. How you gaslight your own feelings, how you silence your own intuition, how you become your own puppet master without realizing it. So that you don't just escape manipulative people, you stop continuing their work inside your own head. You have seen the playbook of puppet masters here. Next, you will learn how to shut the theater down from the inside. Subscribe, comment, I see the script now below. And remember, the most dangerous person to manipulate is not the loudest one, but the one who quietly learns exactly how their game works and refuses to play it ever again. When these scripts run long enough, a transfer of ownership occurs. You cease to be the pilot of your own vessel. This isn't science fiction, it is psychological fact. We have pinpointed the exact moment the transfer happens, the day the deed to your mind was signed over. Stop scrolling. You are about to see the exact moment your mind stopped being yours. Not the day they shouted at you. Not the day they broke your heart. The quieter day. The day they convinced you that your normal reactions were proof that you were broken. From that moment, they didn't need to control you anymore. You did it for them. You did it for them. If you have ever wondered, why do I keep going back? Why do I say quiet? I stay quiet. Why do I always blame myself? Part 3 stands. And if you stay still, the end, you will walk away with something most people never get. A step-by-step way to uninstall the version of you that was built for their comfort and reinstall the version that was built for your freedom. Let us start with a sentence that secretly controls millions of lives. I'm just the kind of person who, finish it in your head, the balance, gets attached too fast, always ruins relationships, is bad with money, can't say no. You think you are describing yourself, but in reality, you might be reciting a character someone else wrote for you. That is how dark psychology works today. They don't need change, they use identity. Because once you accept a role, you will do the acting for free. If they make you the overreacting one, you will apologize for things that actually hurt you. If they make you the clingy one, you will stay quiet about your needs. If they make you the selfish one, you will keep overgiving just to prove them wrong. Control doesn't always look like someone shouting. Most of the time, it looks like you trying to be a better person by abandoning yourself, your comforts, your conveniences. Here is the brutal psychology behind it. Your brain is not loyal to reality, it is loyal to consistency. If you hear the same message enough times in your most vulnerable moments, your nervous system will hook onto it and say, this must be who we are. So manipulators don't argue with your logic. They argue with your identity. I already told you. Watch how simple it is. You express a real feeling. This hurt me. They rename your feeling. You are overreacting. You feel shame on top of pain. Your brain decides, when I trust my feelings, people leave or get angry. So next time, you silence yourself to protect the relationship. In their world, that's a win. They have successfully connected your truth with your deepest fear, rejection, abandonment, conflict. From then on, they don't have to shut you down. Your own nervous system shuts you down in advance. If you want to see whether someone has secretly rewritten your identity, look for these 3 invisible chains. You hear yourself saying things like, they have been through a lot. They didn't mean it like that. I know they love me deep down. You become their lawyer, their therapist, their peer manager. Meanwhile, there is no one in the room defending you. As soon as you ask for clarity, effort or respect, you feel like you are causing trouble. Why? Because somewhere along the way, someone linked your needs to the label too much. So now, every time you show up for yourself, you feel like a burden. Instead of asking, is this situation fair to me? You ask, do I look like a bad person? And the quickest way to control a good person is to threaten them with the idea that they are secretly bad. You would rather suffer than risk being called selfish, ungrateful, or cold. They know this and they use it against you. Here is something your mind has never been taught to do. When a painful thought appears, you usually ask, is this true? That question keeps you trapped because even if it's not true, your emotions make it feel true. Instead, start with this. Who profits if I believe this? Some examples. I'm hard to love. Who profits? The person offering you bare minimum effort. I'm bad with money. Who profits? The people who want you dependent, scared to make your own decisions. I can't do better. Who profits? Anyone giving you less than you deserve and hoping you never leave. When you connect the thought to the person, the system, or the memory that benefits from it, the spell starts to crack. The thought stops feeling like your personality and starts looking like what it always was, a carefully crafted tool of control. Just remember that, a carefully crafted tool of control. So, the who profits pattern interrupt I am introduced to you. How do you break it? You cannot win by just repeating affirmations on top of damage. You break the spell by exposing the benefit behind the belief. Next time a painful, self-blaming thought hits, do this in your mind. First step, catch the thought. I'm too needy. I'm always the problem. I should be grateful they are still here. Then step 2, you ask yourself, who profits if I believe this? Be specific. That ex who wanted you dependent? That parent who never apologized? That boss who loves that you never say no? Then step 3, say out loud, even in a whisper. This belief serves them, not me. You have just pulled the mask off. The thought is no longer the voice of truth. It's the voice of a person who needed you small, confused, and easy to manage. The moment you see that, the thought loses about half its power. Now, we don't stop at awareness. Awareness without action is just more mental noise. You are going to rewrite one core identity sentence today. Grab your phone notes, title it, My Old Program, write one line you have been living under. For example, I am too intense, I am bad with love, I always mess things up. Under it, write this sentence and fill the blank. They needed me to believe this so that I would. You may fill it there. Look into screen, you fill it there. Examples. You fill it the first one, then look into screen for better understanding. So that I would stop asking for more. Again you look into screen, fill up there. So that I would accept less than I deserve. Again on the screen you see that blank space. Fill it there, then continue it. So that I would stay even when I was hurting. Let that sink in. This was never about your worth. It was about their convenience. Now, underneath that, title the next section in your phone note. The program I am installing. Now you are installing a new program for you that you are going to write in the phone note. Turn the wound into an accurate, powerful identity. Okay, turn your wound into an accurate, powerful identity. Write it like this. I am intense, and my intensity belongs with people who value depth, not fear it. Or I am learning love, and I refuse to practice it with people who weaponize my hurt against me. Or write it here. Write it like this. I have made mistakes, and I am now the kind of person who repairs, learns, and upgrades my life. Read it. Read it aloud. Then pause. Read it again. Read it again aloud. Then pause. Then read it again. Slowly. That uncomfortable feeling. That is your old program realizing it is being replaced. From this point on, you need a new baseline rule for your life. Maybe, I am no longer easy to manage. Not in a cruel way, not in a careless way, but in a way that says, you don't get to keep me by threatening to leave every time I have a need. You don't get to define who I am just because my boundaries make you uncomfortable. You don't get to write my character and then punish me for playing the part too well. The real you was never weak. You were simply over-controlled by others to make you look weak, feel weak, experience weak, over-explained, over-shamed for having a human heart and a sensitive nervous system. That ends here. If you have any doubt, you may go back and see the video again and write it in your phone app what is required. Again, because you are installing a new program into your inside and now you are becoming a new one. If you are still here, it is not by accident. You didn't watch this long because you are bored. You watched this long because somewhere deep down, you know, the story you have been living isn't the story you were born for. So do this now if you are serious about change. First, go to the comments. Then write this sentence and complete it honestly. The old program I am uninstalling is blank. Look into the screen. Then you fill up the comments with that. I shall view your comments. Then I shall produce necessary points in next video for your benefit. Then read at least one other comment and reply with support. If you check the other comments and if you have any opinion, you put on your own reply. Because you are not the only one waking up from someone else's control. And if you comment on replying on somebody's comments, your brain and your intelligence will act. It will become alert. You will get new insights. If this hit you hard, don't just click away and let your old life swallow you again. Hit subscribe right now. Turn on all notifications and make a promise to yourself. This channel is where I learned the psychology they used on me. So I can never be played like that again. In the next part, you are going to see the exact words, tones and conversation blueprints that narcissists, cults and even high-pressure marketers use to bypass your logic and plant commands directly into your subconscious, into your brain, into your mind. Today, you saw the day your brain got hacked. Next, you will learn how to read the code in real time so you can protect your mind, your heart and your future with a level of awareness most people never reach. Subscribe and comment your old program below. And remember, the moment you start questioning who wrote your story, yes, who wrote your story, remember that. That is the moment you start writing it yourself. We end part 1 here with the realization that you have been hacked. But a hack can be patched. A script can be rewritten. In this final segment, we look at the algorithm of your mind. Watch this and prepare for part 2, where we begin the uninstall protocol. Wait, don't scroll. You have no idea how many of your thoughts today were not actually yours. That panic when someone takes too long to reply. That guilt when you say no. That voice that whispers, you are too much. Tone it down. What if those weren't random feelings, but installed reactions? Because in this, you are not just going to see how they control people in general. You are going to see how they quietly reprogrammed you to doubt your own mind, to betray your own needs, and to behave exactly the way that keeps them in power. Stay until the end, and you will walk away with a simple mental ritual that breaks their script and starts rewriting your own. Let us start with a disturbing truth. Every manipulator, every toxic partner, every controlling system has the same secret goal, not to win the argument, but to write your role. Because once they decide who you are, they don't have to control your every move. You will do it automatically for them. Think about it. The overreacting one will keep apologizing for being hurt. The clingy one will feel guilty for wanting connection. The selfish one will overgive until they are empty. You think you are just like that, but somewhere in your life, someone handed you that costume and said, wear this or lose me. That is the invisible contract. You never signed it with a pen. You signed it with your silence. Here is what your brain actually remembers when you say, this is just who I am. Not the day you were born, not your DNA. It remembers the day your nervous system was trained. Picture this. You were honest. You said, that hurt me. They rolled their eyes, called you dramatic, pulled away, stonewalled you. Your body went into panic, heart racing, stomach tight, mind spinning. What did I do wrong? In that moment, your brain created a new rule. Speaking my truth, danger. That equals danger. Staying quiet, that is better, that is safety. From then on, you didn't just decide to stay quiet. Your nervous system began shutting you down before you even had a chance to speak. That is not overthinking. That is conditioning you. It is not that you are weak. It is that your survival system learned to protect you by betraying you. Understand? It is protecting you by betraying you. Think of YouTube's algorithm for a second. Just remember that. It doesn't push what is accurate. It pushes what keeps you watching. Now realize this. Your brain has an algorithm too. It doesn't focus on what is healthy. It focuses on what feels familiar. So if you have spent years feeling unworthy, anxious, not enough, your inner algorithm will recommend situations that match, partners who give mixed signals, jobs that underpay you, friends who only call when they need something. Not because you like suffering, but because your nervous system says, oh, this feels like home. High-level manipulators know this. They don't just control one situation. They train your inner algorithm so it keeps looping you back to the same story even when they are gone. Want to know how easy it is to rewrite a human being? It often takes just 3 types of phrases repeated at the right moments. First phrase is, you always, you never, you always overreact. You never understand. You always make it about you. These phrases don't describe a moment. They label you in your entire character. Your brain hears a verdict, not feedback. Now the second phrase. No one else has a problem with this, only you. Translation. Your reality is wrong. The group is right. Now you are not just questioning your feelings. You are afraid of being the outsider. Now the third phase. You are lucky You are lucky I stayed. You are lucky I talked to you. You are lucky I tolerate this. This turns basic respect into something you must earn. Suddenly, your standards collapse. You cling to the bare minimum as if it's a blessing. These phrases sound casual, but over time, they become the code your identity runs on. Now the fifth segment. The uninstall exercise is a high retention action. Be very concentrate. You concentrate here. Very attentive. Do this with me right now. No later. Not one day. Now. Grab your phone's notes or a piece of paper. Write this at the top. The version of me they built. Under it, list 3 sentences you have believed. The first sentence, you write, I am always the problem. The second sentence you write, I am too sensitive. The third sentence you write, if I speak, people leave. Now underneath each one, write this. You may just look into screen to avoid any missing in the sentence. They needed me to believe this so that I would fill up the blanks. Fill it in. Then continue. So that I would stop calling out their behavior. Or so that I would apologize for having emotions. Or so that I would shrink myself to keep them comfortable. Look at that. You just shifted from something is wrong with me to someone needed me small. That is not a small mindset shift. That is the first crack in the wall around your life. Okay, next segment. That is sixth segment. It is installing your new core identity. That is what we are going to hear. Now we go deeper. Because dark psychology didn't just give you thoughts. It gave you a role. And the only way to fully walk out of it is to choose a new role on purpose. Here is a new role for you. It is not hearing or reading or writing something. At the bottom of you page, right, the version of me I am building. Now you are building yourself from the past. Now answer this slowly. First, if I wasn't trying to keep everyone happy, what kind of person would I naturally be? the future you are building. Second, if I knew I wouldn't be abandoned for having standards, what would my standards be? Written? Then the third, if my younger self was watching me right now, what would I want them to see? Turn your answers into identity statements. Just like, I am the kind of person who listens to my nervous system instead of gaslighting it. Or, you're right, I am the kind of person who would rather disappoint others than betray myself. Or right, I am the kind of person who upgrades my life every time I earn the truth, not just when it is comfortable. Then, read them out aloud. Yes, out aloud. Out loud. Because the old identity was installed through repetition and sound. Your new identity needs the same. Now the seventh segment, that is your mind's algorithm and binge loop. Think of YouTube's algorithm for a second. It doesn't push what is good for you. It pushes what you have watched repeatedly. Your brain does the same thing with your self-image. If you have spent years watching the same inner movie where you are the problem, the disappointment, here is a backup plan. Your mind will keep recommending the same kind of partner, the same kind of job, the same kind of friendships. Not because that's all you deserve, but because your inner algorithm thinks that what you want. What you want. Next is where you break that loop. By feeding your mind a new identity again and again until your recommended life starts to look different. New boundaries, new standards, new decisions. That is how real control ends. Not with a dramatic speech, but with 1,000 tiny choices that all agree on one thing. I am no longer available for a life that requires me to betray myself. Now we are coming to the final segment. It's a call to power. It's a power to you. How to get you the power. If you're still watching this, you are not here by accident. It means there is a part of you that's done being the character they wrote. So here is what to do next. First, go to the comments. Then write one sentence. The sentence should be, the old program I am installing is, the old program I am uninstalling is, dash, dash, dash. You fill up there. Then fill it with brutal honesty. That is your line in the sand. That is you choosing who you will be in this next chapter. If this hit you harder than you expected, don't let it be just another video. Hit subscribe right now. Turn on all your notifications and stay with this series. Because the next part is not going to be gentle. In the next video, you are going to learn the exact phrases, tones, and conversations and patterns that manipulators, narcissists, and even powerful marketers use to slip past your logic and into your subconscious. Yes, to your subconscious mind. So you can spot them in real time and shut them down on the spot. On the spot. Today you saw the version of you they built. Next, I will build the version they can't control. And from that moment on, you won't just be hard to manipulate. You will be the one person in the room who sees exactly how the game is played and refuses to play it. Is it interesting? You can see how they are playing the game and you can understand it and you are escaping from it. Thank you. Now, you have seen the architecture. You know the installation methods. In part 2 of upcoming, we burned the blueprints. I'm Dr. New York. Now the class dismissed for part 2.